Okay, so if we're talking about these, I would put, just so you don't have to keep looking back and forth at it. We go to stat, out, 4, and variables, we got by clear key, y bars, and then enter 3 times. That's going to give us an equation of the line. Or find your slope, whatever it is each time. Doesn't matter if you have a whole bunch of numbers or if you have just a few numbers. Okay? So, what I want you to do first is I want you to put these into your calculator. So we're going to go to the calculator, go to your stat, enter. If there's anything there, take it out, and let's enter these values. So once we have our list, we're just going to hold that right there for just a minute, and we're going to look at what we have on our table. First of all, over here, which one is X, hours or pay?
Hours.
Pay hours. So we have X and Y. So over here in our table, we have to have hours down here, and we have pay over here. What seems like a reasonable domain for our hours? Okay, we're down by 5. So, well, we can count by 10, but if you want it to be spread out, remember this is 20 across here. So if I let this go to 40, and then do it in half each time, then you're going to be counting by 5. Actually, I'm counting by 2. Because we had, let's see. Well, you need to go up to 40. And so if we need to go up by 40, we have to count, starting at 0. So we can count by 2. You can actually spread it out. It's not wrong if you count it differently, if you can see your graph. But to be able to see it as clearly as possible, we want to use the whole grid that we have available. So what about for our money over here? What seems like reasonable? If we go big, what's our highest that we're going to?
50.
Going to 582. So let's go to 600. You feel like you use what's on your, what you have for available on your table. Well, if we go by 600, you have 20 blanks. What's 600 divided by 20?
30.
Okay. So it means you're counting by 30 each time. 30, 60, 90. So halfway is going to be 300. I'm not going to plot every single point on this graph. Okay? I just need to know what I'm expecting to get as far as a line. Is it a linear function? Where do the points go? We can put stat plot and see. So let's do that. I'm going to look at this. I need to get a reasonable domain and range. Go back to your calculator. Look at your window. What did we do for domain? We went from 0 to what? 40. And for our range, we went from 0 to 600. Well, because this is hours, 0 to 40 hours. This is money. The highest they made was 582, so we're a little bit above that. We already got the points in there. Let's see if we make the lines. This is what we ran at the very beginning of the year. Second stat plot. Right here on the left side. The first one, turn it on. Then graph. Yes. It says, if so, draw a line with best fit. We want a line that's going to go through our graph. So if I take a point, maybe 12, 174, 3, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, somewhere up in here. And then I have, at the highest, we've got 40 at 582. So we've got a line going right here. If I want to look at, I just plotted a point. If I want to see this in the calculator, We're gonna do our stats. So, I already have my points. That's what we wrote on our paper. See if the line actually fits what the points are. Stat. Calculate. 4. We want it to graph, so you need to go into y equals. So we're going to go to variables. Y.
Okay, what?
Do we put formula under y variables?
Yeah.
Yeah, what if mine doesn't already say that? What'd you do?
Why's this flat?
Mine does not.
Yes.
Okay, so you should get y equals 14.56 x plus 0. So when we come back to our paper over here, and you're answering your question, it says, if so, draw a line of best fit. If you do the variables and put it in y, I can graph, and it's going to draw a line of best fit that goes through most of those points. In this case, it goes through all of them because it's a linear function. If you had a few points scattered around, it's going to go right through the center. So we have a line of best fit. This says, what is the slope of the line? A, 14.56. What does this represent on this situation?
The number, like the amount paid per hour.
Exactly, because it's y over x. So when it says, what does slope represent?
Money per hour.
Right, slope is always going to represent your money, your pay, whatever y is, per x. This is what's the y-intercept? 0. What does that mean for this situation?
It's a parent.
It's not a parent function, it's starting at 0, because think about a relationship here. If, what is this? When x is 0, what does that mean?
It's a origin.
In this problem, I know it's the origin.
Oh,
Has she worked?
No.
Nope. So it says, what does it represent in this situation?
A off day.
0 money when no hours have been worked. Or we can say, might be a better way to put this, when not working. Okay, there's no money. She's not working, she doesn't get any money. Is this a direct variation? Why? True.
Because it goes.
Because
it starts from the
It
origin.
it starts from the origin.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yes, it's direct variation because it goes through 0, 0. That's to the origin. So, our equation to put this together, if we write an equation to represent this, 14.56x, and we don't have to write the plus of 0. Because it just crosses at 0. So when it asks you for what is the y-intercept or what is the slope, we want a number. When it asks you what does it represent, this slope is y over x, or y, which is money, per hour, which is x. Slope is always your starting money. In this case, we don't have any. It doesn't work, she doesn't get paid. So using that equation, what would her salary be if she worked 38 hours? Is that X or Y?
It would be,
Ethan.
you would plus
This is
38
X. So put this in and let's figure out what is it for 38 hours.
153.28.
That's the 3 point what? Since we already have this in y equals, you could go look at your table in your calculator and find it, or you can plug it in here. This says if her gross pay is $218.40, how many hours did she work? Well, $218.40 has to be your y value.
So you just divide it by 4.
This one we don't have to, it's only a one-step equation, so the also multiplication is to divide. So if we divide by 1456, we get 15 hours. There's a lot of questions that you can answer, or, excuse me, or that can be asked when we're talking about getting, analyzing a graph or a function, determining whether or not it's linear, all that kind of thing, whether it's direct variation. You want to look at each of those parts. But the main thing is that if you are answering these questions, you need to really look at the situation that you have. What's X? What's Y? How do they relate? What happens when one of them is 0? Is it increasing, decreasing? All those kind of things. So this is analyzing a graph. We're going to do the same thing with the ones that are on the back.